I'm working on one project and I have this slab of maple that has a pretty terrible twist in it. You can see it referenced to my table saw table here. It has at least 1/4 inch, maybe 3/8 of an inch twist in it. I have a flattening jig for my router that I typically use for that, but it takes a long time to get it set up and to do all the passes manually. I thought this was a good opportunity to build a planer sled. I'm definitely not the first person to do this, but the general idea of the sled is to give this warped piece of wood a flat base. You're really looking for the underside of the sled to be flat and level. And that way, if you think of the planer as leveling the top of your piece relative to the bottom of your sled, that's really what this allows you to do. So we'll use some shims and some hot glue to hold the piece down and keep it from wobbling as it goes through the planer. You can see what I've done here is taken a thick piece of melamine and cut it to the width of my planer. This is a 12-inch planer. And then I also cut off a small scrap that I'll put at the end of the board. That's to keep it from sliding off of the sled. There's a small lip there, about 1/4 of an inch, that sticks up above the jig and keeps the piece from sliding off. I'll attach that scrap piece with some 5-minute epoxy and 4 wood screws. This 5-minute epoxy is nice because I can attach it and run the jig probably within about half an hour. This is about all there is to this jig. It's pretty simple. The key is you want a flat piece of melamine. I'm not sure I selected the piece well enough, as you'll see at the end here. But this piece actually is from IKEA. If you have an IKEA near you, they sell all of their extra shelves and extra side pieces for furniture for dirt cheap near the exit, at least at our IKEA. So a good place to find flat melamine. Once we're sure that the sled fits through the planer, next step is to level out our piece, get the wobble out of it, and attach it to the sled. I really like these plastic shims. You can break them off and make them any size you want. And then, as many have done before, I'm using hot glue to attach it to the sled. I was a little skeptical about the hot glue, so I put a good amount on there. I actually put too much. As you'll see at the end, it ripped out a part of the sled. Not a big deal. I then marked the piece with a pencil so I could see what parts have been shaved. And then took it over to the planer for the first pass. After each pass, I'm lowering the planer head by half a turn. And you can see it's shaving off the high points. It's shaving off the corners from that twist and also a small stripe down the middle. Pretty simple process here. You lower the cutter head by about half a turn, maybe a 1/4 turn towards the end, and send it through. And you make lots of shavings. I did notice later in the process that my depth adjustment, you can see at the top there, was moving as the piece went through, which means my board is getting thicker as it goes along. So for the few final passes, I secured that before I passed it through. Final step was to detach the workpiece from the sled, to pry up that hot glue using paint scrapers and razor blades. Like I said before, this was my first time doing this and I used a little too much hot glue, so part of the melamine got ripped up, as you'll see here. But no big deal as long as the surface is still flat. And here's the end result. First I put it down on the bottom side. You can see the twist is still there. When I flip it to the side I flattened, it's much flatter on the table. There is a small cupping lengthwise on the board, so this did not turn out perfectly. That cupping's only about 1/16 of an inch, so I can certainly live with it. When I took a closer look, there are two causes here. One is that melamine was not perfectly flat. You could see some light escaping in the middle there. It means the sled itself is cupped. The second is when I look at my feed technique, I don't think I supported it well enough on its way out, so it probably shaved a little bit off the edges. overall the end result is way better than where it started. I would try this again with some careful feeding technique and maybe build a flatter sled in the future. Hope that helps someone. Thanks for watching.